Well, welcome to this special edition of Amateur Hour Garage. I had the privilege of being interviewed by Randy from Lowbuck LS. Randy has a Facebook page and a YouTube channel dedicated to getting the most bang out of your buck when it comes to LS engines. And if you follow this build, you know that that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. In this interview, we talk about my very limited experience with cars and wrenches. We talk about this project and my future project. So links are in the description to Randy's Facebook page and YouTube channel, and thanks for watching.
Hey everybody, Randy with Lowbuck LS here again. Thanks for joining in on our live stream this evening. This one should be interesting. We're interviewing a guest again tonight. And I've known quite a few people who have swapped LS engines into other vehicles. And I've known other people like myself who, for my first LS experience, I just bought a vehicle that had the LS engine in it. But I don't think I've ever met someone who's built a car and then swapped an LS engine into it. But our guest tonight has done exactly that. Tonight, we've got Matthew Cannon on. He is the founder of the Amateur Hour Garage channel on YouTube. And he is building a Factory 5 Racing Mark IV Roadster. And to keep it affordable, he's chosen a Chevy LS truck engine to put into it to keep things budget friendly. So even though the car itself may not be that low buck, the engine he's chosen is definitely low buck. So thanks for being here, Matthew. How are you doing this evening?
Randy, I'm doing really good. I really appreciate you having me on. And first off, I want to say thank you for your education efforts as well as, many other YouTubers as far as LS swaps and education goes. I definitely would not have attempted a project like this without YouTube channels and Facebook pages like yours and others. So I'm thrilled to be on here. It is quite an honor.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for being here. And yeah, I imagine it would be quite a learning curve, and you'd have to refer to YouTube University quite a bit, eh?
Yeah, that's exactly. YouTube University. I like that. That's good.
Yeah. Also wanted to mention, since this is a live stream, we got 9 guys in the chat right now. If you've got any questions as we go along, just post them in the chat and we will answer them as they come up. We've already got Danny saying hello in the chat, and Eric from 815 LSX Swaps. Hoping to get him lined up for an interview here shortly, but So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, Matthew, where you're from, how you got into the car hobby, and maybe how long you've been running your YouTube channel and that kind of thing.
I mostly grew up in Colorado, and I did not grow up turning wrenches on cars. I grew up with my mom, and I did have a buddy of mine, John, and hi, John. His family, they had a 55 Chevy that they did race when I was younger, and John was always a gearhead and had several cars. He had a Nova for a long time, and but I mean, I didn't know anything, and it wasn't until really during college and after college that I really developed a passion for wanting a project, and I've always been drawn to cars and all things technical and projects and things like that. And, on a whim, I bought an 81 Trans Am, which had the original 301 turbo motor in there. Terrible. Oh, wow. wouldn't even drive. The guy said on the lot, he said, "Listen, I'll deliver this car to you." And that should have been a big red flag right there. But exactly, yeah. I had a couple of college buddies help me pull the motor out who knew more than I did, and I didn't know anything. And that was probably my start. That was back in 2000.
Oh, wow.
Jeez, watch out.
Doing this for a while, hey?
Yeah.
I forgot they had turbos on those old 81 Trans Ams.
That's when they were trying to get the mileage, and that was the end of the muscle car era, that's for sure, late 70s, 80s.
Yeah, exactly. So I was doing a bit of research before the show here and looking at your YouTube channel. I saw a few other cars on there. Do you want to talk about some of your past projects?
Well, if I can share my screen here, I'll show you a quick picture of my old Trans Am. And I do love that car. There's a bit of a story behind it. I love that car, and I know it's all redneck, but
Nothing wrong with that.
The wife told me she was pregnant, and I sold that car, and I missed that car so much. I actually contacted the guy that I sold it to. This is probably 2 years ago. And I said, "Hey, you want it back? And can I have it back?" And he said he was going through a divorce, and he's not able to sell it, and he needed it to be appraised. And I was like, "Oh crap!" Because I'm sure it's appreciated. I don't know. I don't know who'd want to drive that other than me. But I would love to have that car back, and that's a Chevy 350 in there, and I put a tunnel ram on there and dual carburetor.
Nice.
I would put an LS in it in a heartbeat. I really would. How would I figure out how to do that? Dual carburetor or something fake up there? But I love that look. I really do. And I haven't heard from him since. I guess I could probably bug him again. I sure don't have any room in my garage. My project that you see behind me here takes up 2 spots, which I'll talk about some more. But that was my first project car, and I would love to have that back. But sometime after that, I bought a Chevelle on eBay. By the way, never ever buy a car on eBay that you don't see first.
Good advice.
This is one of those that it looks pretty good from 10 feet away, but it is far from a 10, that is for sure. And this car was all rusted out underneath. My God, I think someone drove it through salt water.
Oh, wow.
And it had a 305 in there, and I drove it all the way back from right outside of Chicago all the way to Denver. And the right front wheel came off in Nebraska. And my buddy John came and rescued me.
Oh, wow.
Well, what was I thinking? The lugs weren't on there or what? I don't know. But he was able to get it back on there, and I was able to get it home.
Oh,
And
wow.
the whole bottom of the car was covered in oil because it was leaking so bad, and the coolant had mixed in there. And so I put a different motor in that. This is all Gen 1 stuff. He built me a Chevy 350 with a mild cam, and I had an Edelbrock on there. I had a Holley carburetor on there, and boy, you need a degree in carburation because this was in Denver too. This is a mile high, so it's even worse to tune that thing.
Yeah,
Smelled like gas, never ran right. I have a video on putting the Edelbrock EFI system on there, and boy, I was really impressed with that. I gave that 12 volts and gas, and it started right up, and it sounded so much better. And I got a video on that, a before and after on that.
Oh, nice.
I was very, very pleased with that. I forget what year that was, but that's all Gen 1 stuff. That's all behind me. I got it all. I got it all now that I'm living in the LS world.
Yeah. I did see something really interesting on your YouTube channel. Did I see that you actually sawzalled the roof off of this car?
Oh, I did. And I got a lot of flack for that. And listen, there's a story behind this.
Okay.
I got a buddy of mine who had a 70 Chevelle, really nice guy, and he let me drive that to a car show. Convertible 70 Chevelle.
Yeah.
I was blown away at how much more I enjoyed driving that. And it was all original too. Blown away. So I got to thinking the body on this car is rusted out. It's good from 10 feet, but when you get underneath it and forget it, it would have cost me 50 grand in body panels to redo it. I think they make all new bodies for this, all new stamped steel for this. Dynacorn, I think is what it is.
Okay.
I would have had to do something like that. It would have been a rotisserie deal. So the body shot. And this is a full frame. This isn't a unibody.
Right.
So yeah, I cut the top off, and I got some flack for that. I really did, but um, I'm pretty sure that's mostly from guys who drive minivans, so that's fine by me.
Yeah. Would have raised a few eyebrows for sure. Another vehicle I noticed on your channel was the 33 hot rod. That looks like a Factory 5 project as well. Is that right?
This is my dad's car, and I swindled my dad into convincing him to let me build one of these for him, totally not knowing what I was getting into. This is a kit car, and what most people think of a kit car is either a Volkswagen based or maybe a donor car based, like a the Ford Mustangs, and that's not what this is. This is an all new car. Wow. It came as a powder coated frame, fiberglass body, and literally a truckload of boxes. So it is grown up Legos, but it's more of a puzzle, because you have to solve a lot of problems, clearance issues, wiring issues, and things like that. And this is from Factory 5 Racing, and it's not because the kit's incomplete. It's a totally complete kit, but you have to figure out, because this takes so many different engine options, and this particular 33 hot rod kit accommodates a Ford engine, carbureted fuel injection, Chevy, Gen 1 block, or LS. So all that wiring is up to you. Now they'll give you all that wiring, but you got to figure all that stuff out on your own. A lot of older guys put automatics in there. I think that's crazy. I want to drive my car. So this has a TKO 500 transmission. So you got to, it's plenty of clearance for something like that. It's the big automatic transmissions you'd have a problem with. So it can accommodate several rear ends on this. So those are, when I say it's a puzzle, you got to work that stuff out and do a little bit of clearancing and things like that. So
solving and stuff. Eh?
I should say I did not do the body work on this. That was done Gordon Levy down there in where my dad lives in south of Phoenix. There he did that body work. I did some of the rough body work, and oh man, that fiberglass makes a mess. So let me show you the engine that I actually put in this. It was a brand new engine, and this is a Ramjet 350. Now you'll notice this is a Gen 1 block, and this is about as good as it gets for a Gen 1 block. It's got the roller cams in there. These are they're iron heads, obviously, and whatnot. So, but I mean, you could boost that all day long. It's not the prettiest engine, but it is a full electronic EFI. And once again, with this, 12 volts in gas, and it starts, and it wants to run. So, very pleased with that engine.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about EFI, eh? You just, for the most part, bolt it on and turn the key, eh?
It's the way to go. I know there's holdout carburation guys, and, they can take their Tommy Bahama shirts and rail about carburation all day long. See ya.
Yeah, wearing their New Balance sneakers.
Right, with the white socks.
Yeah. Exactly. And people talk about how hard HP tuners is to learn, but try tuning a carburetor. That's even more of a challenge.
I've spent more time behind a keyboard than I have in the garage, admittingly. So I'll take the HP tuners, and I know you got some instructional videos along with others out there, like the Driveway Engineer and JR and several others. So I will. It's on my to-do list. I got to do a crash course. It's coming up, definitely.
Yeah, right on. We got a few comments in here. I've missed a few, but Harry says he's doing an LS swap on a 59 Buick LeSabre. That'd be a cool project.
Nice.
Eric from 815 asked how the Factory 5 builds are. We're going to get a lot more into detail in that, a little more in the live stream here.
Yeah.
He says he's wanted to do one for a long time.
Do it. I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah. I could, once I become a big YouTube star, I could see myself doing a Factory 5 build. So might be a couple years. And then Harry says he could use some advice on controllers. We'll save that for another video. But yeah, if you want to ask in the Facebook group for any specific advice or whatever, we can help you out in there. So one of the things I wanted to ask, like building a kit car from the ground up seems like a pretty daunting project to me. Like what got you interested in, what put the thought of that in your mind and made you decide to build a kit car?
I love a good build. I don't call myself a car. I guess the term is a builder because that kind of associated with designers. I don't do any designing, but I can assemble with the best of them. So one thing with that Chevelle that I had, I put a remanufactured engine in there, and I upgraded it to fuel injection. I put a fuel cell in the back. And all the while I'm doing this, I'm looking around at this deteriorating body on my car, and I'm really just kind of doing lipstick on a pig here, And I finally just thought, well, I'm just going to take all this drivetrain and put it into something good, eventually. Well, what's good out there? Anything that's good, that's classic, is 50 grand, right?
Exactly,
So it is so nice to work on all new components,
Yeah. No rusted bolts
no rusted bolts, no rust, no little plastic pieces that break. When you're dealing with all new components, it is so nice. And that's really one of the big benefits of a kit car. My garage is so clean. Every time I would do something on my Chevelle, it would just rain rust dust all around in a circle on my garage. You go to get on your back, and I literally have rust scars on my back. So.
Yeah, and half the time you're underneath the car, and the rust's falling in your eyeballs.
In my eyes. So working on something new, and you can see from the picture behind me. Look how nice and easy access that is. There's no fenders in the way. There's no big grill. It's literally a pleasure to work on a new car and a car that has a whole body that comes off. You can get to everything super easy. So if you like spending time in the garage, I don't mind getting dirty. I can get dirty with the best of them, but it's just different. It's nice. It's like building a new race car that hasn't had to hit the track yet. It's just something really nice about it,
Yeah, that definitely sounds good. So I noticed on your channel, you're calling this project the Budget LS Factory 5 Roadster. So what makes this budget friendly compared to other Roadster builds?
Well, listen, the sky is the limit on a kit car like this from Factory 5 Racing, or any project you buy or any project you get into. And I do not have an unlimited budget. I'm stereotyping, but I think the kind of guy that gets into a build like a kit car like I'm doing sells his business, and he can write a $100,000 check and have every bell and whistle. And these Factory 5 Racing kits, the sky's the limit on what options you can put it. There's guys that put heated seats in these things, and
wow.
Radios and boom boxes and there's so many options that you can do, let alone a 427, Coyote engine, all that stuff. You can go buy a crate motor. I've looked at GM Performance crate motors. You spend $25,000.
Yeah.
Well, and then even then, you've still got to get a bracket pulley system on all that stuff. So when I say budget LS, I am building a budget kit car. I am not opting for a lot of options. It's not going to have a radio in there. I'm not even going to have wipers. And that includes the power plant. And, I don't have to tell you, but when you calculate horsepower per dollar, the LS engine is the way to go, because there's millions of them out there, especially in the service vehicle, the trucks and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So in my particular project here, it had 310 horses from the factory. Maybe some of those have left the stable. I'll have it dynoed one day, I guess, if they have dynos around here south of Seattle. They really don't have much of a aftermarket hot rod community. But I got this engine for $2,000 out of a wrecked 2006 GMC Sierra. And what's really great is on one of my videos, this is what this guy does: is he intercepts these going to the yard, he markets and pulls the engine. Well, he had a full video of this engine running up to temperature, went through the RPMs and the temperature's right, the oil pressure's good, all that stuff. So I knew exactly what I was getting, and he puts a tag on there, which is the exact same tag that showed up on this engine.
Yeah.
Not all retailers do that on these used engines. You are really taking a risk, and I think that holds back a lot of guys, because it would be, a several $1,000 mistake that a lot of people can't eat in their budget. I would never want to eat that. So when Factory 5 Racing, released one of their videos saying that these roadsters will accommodate an LS engine, I was thrilled. It wasn't my first choice on what car to build, and there's kind of a story behind that. But I am low budget. This is a $2,000 used engine out of a wrecked 2006 GMC Sierra, and that's
cool. And that's a pretty good way to acquire it too, like getting it from a known running vehicle, and so it works good. Like this one behind me, I pulled from the junkyard and don't really know how many miles are on it or what the history is. And
ooh, yeah. See, I don't know if I'm that brave. I don't know. I would need a little bit more information. If it spins, it wins.
Yeah.
Well,
it's definitely a coin toss, though.
If it spent its life towing a heavy trailer and never had any oil changes, I don't know. But admittingly, this engine that I got here, it did have 150 something thousand miles on there. But I know that this is a running engine, and I will be only going to Starbucks and back, and the car show and back, Cars and Coffee and back, and definitely being the coolest dad picking up my kids at school and back. So
perfect.
It's going to be baby. It's fine. It's not going to puke on me,
Yeah, exactly. All right on. So I was doing a bit more research again before this video and looking at the Factory 5 website, and I saw they've got quite a few different models. Like one of them is like that GTM supercar thing that looks amazing. Like I could envision myself putting a turbo LS in that thing. And,
now that particular model uses Corvette running gear, and
cool.
it turns, I forget what generation, probably C6, but it turns a Corvette into a mid-engine supercar.
Nice.
And you got to find a wrecked Corvette without all the components wrecked that you need, like the brakes and obviously the engine, and you actually use a transaxle for that. Okay. But the rest is provided for you. I mean, even the gauges and the seats and the frame and the body. And I don't know what that project goes for, but I'm sure those aren't cheap,
Yeah, exactly.
But you have something unique.
Yeah, exactly. One of a kind, and not you won't see another one of those at Cars and Coffee.
Yeah, no way. And I let me tell you, on this last car show that I went to, I live south of Seattle in Normandy Park. There was not one Cobra Roadster there, so I'm super excited to have that around here.
Yeah, and I saw some other models on there. Like they've got a pretty cool looking hot rod truck and stuff, and a few other models to pick from. So what made you decide on that Roadster Mark IV?
I showed my wife a picture of the Roadster, and then I showed her a picture of the 33 hot rod, like my dad has.
Yeah.
And my wife said she would look cuter in the Roadster. So.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. That's it.
Happy wife, they say.
That's right. That's right.
There you go. So tell us a little more about that Mark IV Roadster. Like it's basically a Cobra replica, I can see. But since it's a Mark IV, I'm assuming there was a Mark I, II, and III. So do you know a little bit about the history of it kind of thing?
You're right. There have been different versions, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And all through those iterations, it's my understanding that Factory 5 Racing has only updated and improved on their kit and on that frame. I know it's been stretched a little bit to accommodate, people that are maybe 6'1" or 2, something like that. The original race car, it's meant for a jockey. It's supposed to be real small and nimble and light. It's not a luxury car. So I know that they've made a lot of improvements on the frame and components and things like that. So anybody who's thinking about doing it, don't wait. Do it. It is so much fun to put together. You make a lot of accomplishments every day, and it's such a great feeling when you start out from just a frame and boxes, and you're actually driving around the block. Anybody can go down to Barrett Jackson with their checkbook, but the guy who actually builds their own car and drives it, that he's got a big sense of accomplishment, and that's really what it is. That's my drug, I guess. It's chasing that. So
I can imagine that would be quite an accomplishment. So another thing I noticed on the website, you can choose between like a base kit that uses parts from a donor car and a complete kit. Which way did you opt to go on that?
Yeah, mine is the complete kit. So there are no used parts on my kit. You can save a little bit of money by finding a donor Mustang, which I do follow a guy on YouTube who is doing a kit with a donor, and he's running into some problems as far as, worn out parts, like just the pedals in the pedal box, and the little shims and the little guides, plastic guides are breaking and cracking and things like that. So I didn't want to mess with that. I did not want to find a donor, because now I've got I'd be taking up all 3 of my bays in my humble 3-car garage.
Right.
And you really need 4, because you're going to have the donor car, which you're going to strip down. Where's all those parts going to go? You have this project, right here. And then the body to this is taking up another, and the boxes is taking up another stall. So, and then once you've taken, your rear axle and your front spindles and control, or the A-arms, how do you get rid of that shell? My neighbors would probably not appreciate a Ford Mustang sitting on blocks in my driveway or in the front of my house. I don't have an HOA, but I'm pretty sure they would make one real quick if that was the case.
Exactly. So do those cars use like a solid rear axle, or is it independent rear suspension?
You have the option. And once again, that's when I say budget LS. I am using a solid rear axle. It is a remanufactured axle out of a Mustang, but the only used part is that axle housing. That's it, because the actual axle rods were taken out, because that was a 4-lug. This was converted to a 5-lug.
Okay.
The drum brakes were taken off. It's been converted to a disc brake.
Okay.
And then they put new gears in there even. So, I have a solid axle. You can use an independent rear suspension out of a more modern car, and I forget what year and what models. I think it's even out of like a Thunderbird or one of those big Fords. Better ride, and certainly if you're going to do track days, you'd want an independent rear suspension. But I'm trying to be on a budget, so a solid rear, posi traction axle is just fine for me.
Yeah. So is that an 8.8 or what model of?
Yeah, 8.8 rear end. That's right. Yeah. I think I have 327 gears in there, which I wish that first gear in that TKO 500 was a little shorter. I don't quite have, but I only goosed it once down my street here to the stop sign and back. So I don't even know yet.
Yeah, you can always. It's not too hard to change the rear gears on that thing if you want a slightly different ratio down the road.
That might be its own video.
Yeah, exactly. So, and so what kind of delivery time is it like from when you placed your order with Factory 5 until the truck shows up in your driveway? How long does that take?
It was a year and 6 months ago that I ordered my kit, and it took 6 months. I'm on the 1 year anniversary this month, and I forget which day it actually was, but this month is my 1 year anniversary from the delivery of the kit. So it took 6 months. So that was right in the middle of COVID, supply
Right.
chain problems, and when my kit showed up, there were a lot of parts that were on back order. It was 75 items, and some of those were important items,
Right.
like these front A arms that you see right here were on back order because Factory 5 Racing doesn't make every single component to this.
Right.
Some of it is outsourced, but it is shipped from Factory 5 Racing.
Yeah.
But you know what? I received on average a back order shipment once a month, and within I think 4 or 5 months, I had everything, and including the rims and tires, which I did get from Factory 5 Racing because they were just such a smoking deal.
Yeah.
And they came mounted and balanced and even aired up.
Oh, perfect. Just bolt them on, eh?
I really just took them out and bolted them on there. I did put on that white raised white letters though, but yeah. So, and that's another thing. Budget LS. This is rims and tires from Factory 5 Racing. They were a smoking deal. I don't think I could have beat that price with those tires and something similar rims. If you're really doing a budget, you'd use the donor Mustang, and you would have used those Ford Mustang rims and tires. No, nobody likes that. They can tell that it doesn't look good. So that's just my choice. That's my opinion, my choice. Hey,
yeah, exactly. You gotta build it the way that makes you happy.
That's exactly right. Balance my budget to my ambitions. Yeah,
exactly. So, what all did you have to supply? Like, I know you probably got the engine and transmission. Is there anything else that you had to?
When you buy the complete kit from Factory 5, you supply your engine, or Factory 5 Racing does have a relationship with Blueprint engines. You literally could check a box and get a crate motor from them. You supply your own transmission, and I think Blueprint engines also could accommodate you there. My own, and with my own bell housing and clutch and throw out and pilot bearing. And then you supply your own rear end, although you could also check a box and you could get Factory 5 Racing's fabricated race rear end with the Willwood brakes. And I decided not to do that. I wanted to save some money, and I just have regular Ford GT brakes on mine. So rims, tires, and paint. So engine, transmission, rear end, rims, tires, paint.
Okay. And I'm assuming that's a fiberglass body?
It is. It's a fiberglass body. It is all one piece, so it flexes a little bit. And I've only messed with fiberglass a little bit. I think that I'm probably going to need a little bit of guidance and a little bit of help if I'm, going to have this thing look halfway decent.
Right.
Building a car and is one thing, but fiberglass paint and body, that's a whole different animal. That's a whole different school. So we'll see. I'm still mulling it over. There's a guy called Taco Joe who has built one of these, and he did it all himself. He has instructional videos, and he talks about weighing it out, this and that. His car looks great. At least on YouTube, his car looks great. I'm still gonna look at his stuff some more, and I just don't know if I want to turn my garage into a paint booth with the fans and the filter and all the plastic. You have to, and a respirator. You have to do that with the fiberglass because as soon as you cut or sand fiberglass, it turns into a talcum powder.
Right.
That box of Arm & Hammer you keep in your fridge. Well, take that, go into your garage, and just spin around. That's working with fiberglass right there. So
right on. We got some guys joining the chat here. Jim Shorts, I'm pretty sure that's my son under his alter ego here. And Joseph Elmer. Yeah. So, we talked about you might consider outsourcing some paint and body and stuff. What other kind of skills are needed for a build like this? Do you have to do like welding and fabricating, or is it something that the average guy who's just done brake jobs and oil changes and that kind of thing, is it something the average guy can tackle?
Absolutely, yeah. Factory 5 Racing really caters to the shade tree mechanic. I don't have any professional education in auto mechanics or anything like that. So you really can. You just need to be good with a drill. My rivet gun is a manual rivet gun from Harbor Freight. You will drill thousands of holes and you will pop thousands of rivets. As far as the mechanical stuff, I gotta say, there's nothing you can't learn. There's nothing that you could do on this car that perhaps somebody hasn't already done.
Right.
Brake lines, I learned how to do that on YouTube. But before, for every hour I spend in the garage, I easily spend 3 hours on YouTube trying to figure out how I'm going to do it to make sure I don't screw it up, and that includes brake lines, which were surprisingly easy. This is my second kit car, so I did have some brake line experience. I hand bent 90% of the brake lines. I only used my little Harbor Freight bending tool just a handful of times.
Yeah.
So there's nothing you can't learn, and if you look at a project like this or any project, if you have to know how to do every single little step before you start a project, you're never going to start it.
Yeah.
You just got to start. You can't look at the whole big project because you get overwhelmed. You got to take it in little steps, little accomplishments, day by day. You really do.
Yeah, that's how they eat how you're supposed to eat an elephant. They say one bite at a time.
Well, there you go. I like that, one bite at a time. Yeah.
So what's been the most challenging part of the build for you? Is it like wiring or what's been the hardest part?
When I started the build, definitely integrating the Ron Francis wiring harness that comes with the kit, which is a full wiring harness, accommodates EFI or not. Integrating that wiring harness to the existing engine wiring harness, which mine came adapted. It's got its own little fuse box and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that was the scariest thing, and it's still kind of scary because I'm still dealing with a few things. That was probably the most daunting thing. But once again, also cutting down this wiring harness, which it had an automatic transmission, which it had a bundle of wires on it, like that went all the way to the ECU to that transmission. And I had to undo all that loom. I got a video on that too. Undo all that loom and pull deep in all of those wires. And I was ready to pull the trigger on a PSI wiring harness, or probably I would have got one of those cheap eBay ones just to give it a try. And didn't you have a video on? Wouldn't you have one of those?
Yeah, I've got a couple videos on wiring harnesses. I've got one of the China ones, and
that
BP Automotive one on the bench here beside me as well.
It's in my playlist. So if I had to pull that trigger, if this thing did not start up and idle, I would have watched your videos and then pulled the trigger on an aftermarket wiring harness. But I've seen so many other guys on YouTube cut down these wiring harnesses, and they every single one of them says, take it step by step. And, LT1swap.com, I think it's called.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
As well as this other book that I found that's actually in the garage. It was on my desk here, which is a complete wiring diagram of a Gen 3 LS engine. Was a huge help to me. It covers everything LT1swap.com covers and more.
Yeah.
So it's totally doable, and I it's not as pretty as if I had an aftermarket harness, but it started right up and it runs. I'm still troubleshooting a couple of things, but no, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, perfect. So when you're building like this, are there like communities online, like Facebook groups and forums and that type of thing where you can communicate with other builders and
solve
problems together?
Factory 5 Racing actually hosts their own forum, and I forget what that website is, but it's just packed with information, and it's all categorized and searchable. It takes a little while to find your specific problem and then your specific solution, because with any forum, for every solution you find, there's 20 random comments on whatever you're trying to do or whatever.
Yeah.
So it takes a while. And if I can share my screen here, I've got a resource. He's one of the moderators of the forums, and his name is Frank, and he's with IE 427 Garage. By the way, that stands for Inland Empire. Okay. And Frank has really helped me out on a couple of things. And you were asking about Mark 1s and 2s and 3s. And Frank here has been through all of them.
Oh, wow.
But he's only recently been doing, videos.
Right.
And, my videos are not instructional videos.
Right.
They are, hey, I'm doing this journey. Come along. If you're thinking about building one of these, here's the process. But Frank at IE 427 Garage here, these are instructional videos because he has been building these for many years, probably decades. And he really shows you the ins and outs and the things to look for and things like that. So if you ever purchase a used one of these, I would certainly look through some of his videos. He has one specifically on purchasing a used. Here it is right here, buying a Factory 5 racing car used. I would definitely recommend looking through some of his videos to give you some perspective on buying one of these used. But there is so many resources out there. They don't have to be Factory 5 specific because the actual kit is pretty self-explanatory. There isn't a huge instruction manual that comes with it. Hard copy and digital version, a big PDF. Right.
Yeah.
It's got some things to be desired, but if you have some problem solving skills, you could really figure out what you need to do. And, I don't worry about making a mistake, which I've made. I worry about just doing something wrong and having to really undo something. Like, I'm not going to figure out that I did something wrong until a year from now.
Right.
My fuel pressure regulator's in the wrong dang spot because then I should have put it over here or over here.
Right.
Well, those aren't anything really the manual can help you out with. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, lots of help out there. There's resources. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And I know you've gone with the LS engine, but you mentioned there's other options of engines that you can put in there. What other kind of options are available for?
Well, this thing originally accommodated only Ford motors, and then Factory 5 Racing, I think, saw the light that there's so many LS swaps out there that it would open up a whole new customer base of Chevy guys like me. I don't have anything against, Ford guys.
Right.
I just don't have any Ford experience, so I only have Chevy experience. So when they open this up to accommodate an LS engine, either from a Corvette or a Camaro, or the truck engines are just the same thing, I was thrilled. And that's when I pulled the trigger and said, let's do one of these.
Yeah. So do Ford guys hate you for putting an LS engine in there?
I have got some comments, everything from, what the hell are you doing? This is sacrilegious, to you're going to hurt the resale value. Once again, all those guys, I think they drive minivans and always wanted to wish they would build one of these. And when they do, you can knock yourself out on your Ford motor.
Yeah.
10 grand minimum, and that's a used motor. Go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Keyboard warriors for the most part. Right?
That's right.
Yeah. So what model of LS did you go with? I think you said it's an L33 or something?
This is an L33, which is kind of a rare deal. This is the aluminum block with obviously the aluminum heads.
Yeah.
310 horse. It's the same engine, I think, as an LQ4. It just doesn't have the iron block in there. It's got the cathedral ports and everything else the truck has. The only thing I've changed, and it's stock, so I did not put a cam in here and not change the heads. The only thing I have changed is the oil pan, because on a truck oil pan is huge, deep, and it would not be able to sit on the ground. So in the build manual for the LS, it said you need a specific oil pan, which is from a Corvette. It's a shallower pan. That's the only thing I've changed, and I will eventually have to change. I think if I can show you on my split screen here, I've got a picture of how far this engine sits up in the frame here. I guess this is the best picture that I have, but this is going to be too tall. This alternator and this beauty cover, and because that truck water pump, that neck goes almost straight up.
Right.
This fill here is too tall. I don't think that once I get the body on here that the hood's going to go on, and I don't think I want to put some ridiculous hood scoop like you'd see on some early 90s Camaro on there, So
how are you going to solve that?
I am going to here, for all your viewers, leave a comment. I need a better bracket. I'm going to need a shallower bracket and pulley system. This alternator is going to have to go lower, and I'm going to have to change this intake on here to maybe a stock. What did they put? LS3 intakes on here, everybody?
Yeah. LS3 is low profile and
low. These sheet metal, what do they call them? Sheet metal intakes that I see on Amazon and eBay. Those look really good. I think I like that raw metal sort of a look, the stainless steel look. Maybe I'm thinking one of those, but I'm going to have to get this thing lower. But I mentioned in one of my videos that I still can go-kart this thing, and I can get the body on there and start in on some body work. But I don't mind changing this bracket and pulley system, so.
The other option for like a low buck version is like the Trailblazer SS intake, or the intake from a new body style truck from like 2007 to 2010.
That's a lower profile than this big bread box thing, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And they perform well. That's the only downside of going to like the Holley or the sheet metal intake, is it hurts your bottom end torque a bit. Whereas if you go with the Trailblazer SS or the new body style truck intake, you've still got good low end torque, and they're pretty cheap. But
this car is going to live at the low end, so I think that's probably going to be in my future. Yeah,
right on. Okay, let me look through the questions. We've talked about you just use the factory harness with the engine and a Ron Francis wiring harness kind of integrated into it.
That's right. And here's a picture of some of that integration. And now it is certainly not pretty, but I did verify that the wiring harness that I did strip down does work. And the only thing I don't have working is this vehicle speed sensor right here. But I just haven't hooked it up to verify that. And that's an input, right? That goes into the computer.
Yeah.
So the output is from the transmission. During my first drive, I did hook up that output to the speedometer, but I didn't get it to work. So, and I did swap the wires.
Right.
Because out of the transmission, there's no color. There's two black wires. So I don't know which one's which. So I couldn't get it to work. And then I saw on another YouTube channel where they put an LS1 in a factory 5. That was a 33 hot rod. He had to put a resistor in there to go to the speedometer. So that's on my list.
Yeah.
But the wiring harness that comes with this kit does accommodate a fuel injection setup. So and it all works fine. So carburation or fuel injection. Yeah.
That's always the hardest part, is like I can get this engine behind me running by itself. It's integrating it with the rest of the car and the gauges and all of that. But sometimes it poses a challenge.
Here's a better view of this profile that I'm dealing with here. That definitely sticks up sticks up too high. This is where the body is. If you can see my mouse moving, the body is here, but I the body is going to go through this. So yeah, I'm going to need a new bracket pulley and a new intake. So
yeah, and
no
I think
problem.
ICT Billet has a bunch of different brackets that they offer that you can relocate your alternator to various different positions depending on where you have room. So,
and I am using the power steering, the stock power steering pump on this, so I do need that as well. But I did take off the air conditioning pump. That's on the trucks. That's a separate belt. That's another reason why I wanted to go with the truck motor is I didn't have the complication of having to get a new belt or putting some delete idle or pulley on there because I took off the air conditioning pump. It just came off, and that's also some of the wiring I had to remove was all the air conditioning wiring too.
Yeah. Right on. So what you mentioned you weren't a big fan of the automatic transmissions. What transmission did you end up using?
Yeah, I've got a video on that. This is a TKO 500 transmission. It's a 5-speed. I think it's got an overdrive, and it's super popular for the aftermarket hot rodding crowd. I think it's pretty reasonably priced. They don't make them anymore. There was a TKO 500, 600. Now it's the TKX transmission. I think they run about $2,500, and I think, when you're building a quote unquote sports car, you want to drive your car. And I definitely want a manual transmission. I don't know. Some guys have knee problems or want a little better drivability. That's their deal. I want to dump the clutch and roast the tires every now and then.
Yeah, that would definitely be fun. So, does that transmission bolt right up to the LS, or do you need some kind of special adapters or anything?
No, went right in there. I've got a bell housing that accommodates. They make two different versions of that TKO transmission. There's a Ford version, and then there's a Chevy version, and that's just the input shaft is just a slightly different diameter, and so you would just change your pilot bearing. But the I think I got a aluminum Lakewood bell housing, and they make them for everything. So one end is LS and one end is TKO GM. Done deal.
Perfect. And is that a hydraulic clutch, or does it have like a mechanical linkage and stuff?
Yeah, I'm not using mechanical. I wanted a little more versatility. I'm using an exterior slave hydraulic clutch, which is the same thing that I did on Dad's 33 hot rod. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think this can accommodate a mechanical clutch. A clutch cable is kind of what the default clutch setup is with the kit, and it came with all those components,
right.
But yet I specified that I was going to do a hydraulic clutch, so it came with one more Willwood master cylinder.
Okay.
So you push that in, and you're pushing on that piston, which goes into a -3 braided line to an external slave cylinder. So instead of mechanically pushing that fork, it's hydraulically pushing the fork. It's smooth as butter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on. So we touched on this a little bit before, but anybody who's working on a car project right now has ran into the supply chain issues and parts being back ordered and stuff. How big of a problem was that for you on this project?
Just a little bit. As I mentioned, when I originally ordered the kit, I had 75 items on my back order list, but those eventually showed up. And, when you order a complete kit and you have your engine and transmission and rear end, you have 98% of everything you need. The only things that I have bought are incidental things.
Right.
Like I wanted to change the water pump intake because it was shooting off at an angle. So I went on Amazon, and Amazon tells you if everything's in stock or not. So I just scrolled down to the one that I wanted, which was a swivel. So incidentals like that, literally everything I buy for this is from Amazon, and it shows you if it's in stock or not. So
perfect.
No problem.
Okay. Another thing I've, in my experience, I haven't done a project as big as that one, but every project seems to have some problems, and not everything always goes smoothly. And people make mistakes sometimes. What are some of the problems you've encountered during the build, or have you made any mistakes or anything that you'd want to share with other builders to save them a little bit of grief?
The biggest roadblocks that I've run into is the rear end that I bought came remanufactured and converted to a 5-lug and converted to disc brakes with GT brakes on them.
Okay.
I had a problem where I installed it all and bled the brakes, but one of the brakes was locked up. It would not release. Now I'm not a brake expert,
Right.
So I immediately started watching a bunch of YouTube videos on GT brakes and GT brake rebuild, so I can get some perspective on what I'm dealing with here. So
Yeah.
I eventually tackled it, and I took apart the whole brake caliper and piston and everything and put it all back together. That one seemed to work fine. Of course, it was the other one that I had a problem with.
Right.
So I took apart that other one, and I found that they had used some shims on the brake calipers, which are just washers, and they were pretty thick.
Okay.
So I'm kind of realizing already into my troubleshooting and rebuilding that those shims were probably just a little too thick, and I just needed some thinner washers in order to center that caliper right on the disc,
Right.
on the rotor.
Yeah.
Is probably all it was, and an expert who has experience probably would have noticed that or seen it. But as I was re-bleeding the brakes, they started leaking. Not at the bleeder valve and not at the banjo fitting that goes on. It was actually where the a rod goes in, and it's a cam that turns the parking brake. It started leaking right there. So
Okay.
I said, forget it. So they're cheap brakes. So
Yeah.
I called my buddy Frank at IE 427 Garage, and he sent me a link to GT brakes that he uses.
Okay.
I bought those and put them on, and I put thinner washers on there, and Bob's your uncle.
Perfect.
That's been the biggest problem, is me trying to cheap out and buying, an already converted rear end axle, which has all cheap parts on there. So maybe I'm going to run into some more problems. I don't know. I did have a few problems with the clutch fork and the pilot bearing, but I was able to work that out. And there's another guy building one of these in Spokane, which is about a 4.5 hour drive east here, Spokane, Washington. He's putting an LS in a roadster, so I've been bouncing ideas off of him. Now, by the way, I think he's using a Phytech EFI system, and he has a no start situation, so he's having to send that ECU back. I'm not drawing conclusions. I'm just saying I've been down the road and back with that stock ECU and wiring harness. It ain't pretty.
Yeah,
it works.
But it works. Yeah. I haven't heard great things about the FI Tech systems. I haven't used them myself, but that's not the first story I've heard of someone having problems with it. So
yeah, Street Rod Jim did 33 Hot Rod. He put an LS in there. I think he has that Holly Sniper. He's had a heck of a problem tuning that. So I don't know.
And the other nice thing about the factory computers is, they're designed to work. They're built by GM engineers, so designed to work from -40 to from sea level to the top of a mountain. So
they seem bulletproof. I've taken away all of the air conditioning, all of the automatic transmission inputs. I even took away the oil pressure input. This thing still runs, still going to drive, still going to operate the engine. That's crazy to me. You would think modern electronics need all of the sensors or nothing happens, but I guess not.
No.
So
there's some you can get away with not having. So
yeah.
So I imagine in doing a big project like this, you must learn a lot. What are some of the things you've learned during the process of building this car?
The biggest thing that I have learned is as soon as you learn something new, you just want to do it again. Yeah. I'm already considering my next build.
Oh, there you go.
To be honest with you, I want to build this roadster up. I want to enjoy it for a summer.
Yeah.
Then I'm probably going to sell it. And I'm going to order, if I can screen share with you, I am probably going to order another Factory 5, their Type 65 coupe here.
Oh, nice.
I want to build one of those. This is not that much different than the classic Roadster. It's nearly the same frame. It's the same wiring harness. It's just that this body is different, and it's got a full. It's not a Roadster. It's not an open top. It's got a full windshield. It's got a top. It's got a back glass. So this is a little bit more Seattle-esque in that when it's 65 degrees out, I can still cruise around in this thing versus something with an open top. Once again, I will put an LS in there all day, every day, and be perfectly happy. But I think that's going to be my next project. That it's almost the same build. It really is.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to ask if you were planning on doing another one, but there you go.
That's the thing. You just, you get a little taste and you just want a little more. So
Yeah.
It's really the build that I want. The guy that goes fishing and catches a fish, he's not done fishing for the rest of his life. He just wants to go get better gear and go catch bigger fish, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So another thing I wanted to ask is, when you're building a car from the ground up, do you have any trouble getting like insurance and registration? I'm sure this will depend on where you live, but does the car need to be inspected, or is it a hassle getting it road legal?
Here in Washington State, they got rid of the smog inspections years ago. And from what I've seen on the forums, it's not that hard here in Washington State. You do have to have it inspected from a state trooper.
Okay.
I don't know what the requirements are, but it's got DOT tires and it's got a 5-point racing harness on there. I think some of the incidentals are things like it has to have windshield wipers, and I will literally glue those on if I have to. It's got a DOT windshield. Factory 5 Racing has really covered all their bases on things like that. If you're in like the state of California, where, my God, they're going to ban internal combustion engines, and you will be shamed if you're driving around in one of those, let alone you can't buy one. I know in California you have to have cats.
Right.
If that engine had cats, you got to have cats.
Yeah.
But there's a solution out there. They accommodate that, and you can do it. They'll sell you side pipes that literally have cats just inside the body. So you could do it. But it's my understanding, just on the brief, I'm not at that step yet, but just on my brief perusing on the forums, Washington State is pretty easy. It's and I think it's actually registered as a 1965 Cobra.
Oh, wow.
So it's totally exempt from any and everything. And you even get a collector plate, which is good for like 5 years of your registration. You don't have to do it every year. So Washington State is good. I don't know about any other states, but I'm sure Arizona is probably the easiest. There's such a aftermarket community there,
Yeah. I wonder how long it'll be before someone bolts like an electric motor out of a Tesla or something into one of these.
Oh, there's a company that also makes these roadsters out of South Africa. I think they're called Superformance, and they are coming out with an electric version of the Roadster. Hey, buddy, all to each your own. That ain't the electric car that I want to drive. Because somebody will see that coming. They've seen Ford versus Ferrari. They're going to see that coming, and they're going to be listening, and all they're going to hear is a little
Yeah.
It's not right. It's like those dogs that people have their dogs debarked. Have you ever seen a dog bark that's been debarked? It's the weirdest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. the sound and the rumble is a big part of why you want to drive one of these.
Yeah, man, those side pipes, dude, that's what it is all about.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. You've already hinted that you've done the first start and the first drive. That must have felt pretty amazing, eh?
Man, listen, I got 2 kids, and when they were born, it felt just about, and they were breathing, it felt just about like that. It really does. When you get this thing to come alive for the first time. Now, this is a used, this is an LS swap. So I'm sure the guy that takes apart his engine and puts a new crank and rods and all that stuff in there, and he cranks that baby up. Yeah, that's a big sense of accomplishment. I didn't do all that stuff, but it feels great, and it sounds great. I was going to drive this car up and down the street without the side pipes, with just the headers on. And I can't do that to my neighbors. It's so stupid loud. And, for a special treat for your viewers is I'm going to give you a preview of my, the first time that I cranked it up with the side pipes on, and my first drive. So I don't have that video out yet. It comes out this Friday, but for your viewers, they're going to get to hear it and see it.
A special sneak peek,
Sneak peek. You ready?
You bet. Let's do it.
There we go. Turn your volume up. So once again, that is a L33 2006 GMC Sierra stock cam, stock motor. The only thing I changed was the oil pan.
Wow.
Looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Oh, man. It sounds so good. I'll fast forward here.
Okay.
It sounds different as you walk around the car.
Right.
But those are stainless steel pipes. They're straight pipes too. There's no muffling in them you can see through them.
Yeah.
And then I get up close here. I wish somebody else was home to hit the gas, but they weren't.
Right.
It's got such a nice throat to it. It sounds like a Harley.
Nice.
Yeah. And then hooked up my GoPro, stuck it on the roll bar, and that is my very first drive.
Perfect.
Up and down my street. It sounds so good. And then
nice.
I stuck the camera on the end of a broomstick.
Yeah.
And I added some music because the sound from the GoPro is so bad.
Right.
But there you go, special sneak peek for this Friday.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hearing that. Yeah, that must be quite a feeling to go for a drive in a car you've built from the ground up.
It feels so good. You only want to do it over and over again.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be an addicting process. So what percentage would you say you are towards completion, and what all needs to be done now to get it finished? Well,
as I mentioned, this kit was delivered a year ago this month. A huge 18-wheeler showed up, and it was a frame, the fiberglass body, and literally a whole garage bay of boxes. I cannot believe that I am this far. I am very thankful that I have a very understanding family, and they know that my Zen is in the garage making progress.
Yeah.
When I look at where I'm at in the build manual and I flip about 4 more pages, I start in on the body work. I can't believe it. But I would really like to find someone who has fiberglass experience here south of Seattle. Maybe, we got a lot of boat guys around here who wants to do some moonlighting, who probably has some facilities that I don't, who's going to, let me show up on my day off and let me actually do some sanding, cutting, some priming, maybe, and let me bring all my camera gear so it looks like I'm actually doing the work.
Yeah.
But
what all needs to be cut out in the fiberglass, like the gas filler and all that kind of thing?
That's an option. I had all that stuff cut out already. The headlight holes and the blinker holes and the hood and the trunk and all that, even the side louvers. They cut those, but they cut them slightly small.
Oh, okay.
So I need to sand to make it just right in order to get the headlight in there, and the side pipes also have a cutout, but
Okay.
they're undersized, so you can mount the body on there and you can really get it right. So you can get some nice lines. The doors are a little oversized, which allows you to really trim those up and get some nice lines going. Yeah.
Yeah. So does the body come like painted a certain color, or do you have to paint the whole thing?
You got to paint it. It comes in it's fiberglass, and it comes in a gel coat, which is red.
Okay.
And I'll probably drive it for a summer just in that red gel coat, just to drive it, and you definitely got to take down the seams, because it's molded in several pieces, and then they're glued together, I guess.
Yeah.
And you need to cut down those, sand down those seams, because they're sharp, they're big, but it's raw.
Yeah.
A raw body, and you need to sand the whole thing smooth, and maybe get some filler here and there, and but you can have a show car. You can do it on your own in your garage if you want.
Yeah, right on. So I wasn't sure about asking this, but you told me you're okay with it. How much money do you think you're going to have into this thing by the time you got it done?
Well, if you use the base kit, which uses the donor Mustang, you can save some money. But on I'm using the complete kit, it's called, which is all new parts. Factory 5 Racing sent me nothing that's new.
Okay.
I elected to put a used engine in there for cost.
Right.
My transmission, TKL 500, is a new transmission, and the rear end is considered a new rear end. So you got to buy that. Those rims and tires, I bought those. So pretty much I think I'm doing a minimum cost build. The kit is 20 grand. If they haven't raised the prices, it's 20 grand. And once again, you need to supply your engine, transmission, rear end, rims, and tires. You don't even have to paint the thing if you don't want, but I mean, obviously you're going to at least rattle can it.
Yeah.
So, whatever you can get a drivetrain for, engine, transmission, rear end, rims, and tires, you could spend as little as 10 grand.
Yeah.
You could go to the yard and spend even less than that, but why would you buy all new, a new kit, nice new kit, and then really you're putting some junk in there, really. So I'll be into this kit probably, a bit over 40.
Okay.
I think. And,
that's not bad.
I don't think it's bad. You can't buy one of these for 40. If I do ever sell it, I'm pretty sure I could sell it for just what I have in it. That would be my minimum price. You're not going to make any money on these.
Yeah. So. The thing I was going to ask is what the resale value is like, but you figure you can break even on it, eh?
It's in the 60s now, though. Well, I watch eBay, and guys that sell these, they have, the ones that I see that are for sale. Most of these have the 427. They've got a Coyote motor in there. They're called with the overhead cam, something new. So those typically go for 60. You could tell the cheaper ones. I've never seen one of these sell for less than 45 though.
Yeah. Wow.
They even for 40 grand, they sell them and they're wrecked. So yeah, they hold their value. Well,
that's good.
Definitely.
Yeah. Right on. So
my biggest concern is that the Ford guy walks up on my car and he gets a bitter beer face when he sees my LS engine in there. I don't want to sell to that guy anyway. I want to sell the guy that always had, that always wanted that Chevelle, or always wanted, or has always driven a Camaro. That's the guy who I want to buy this.
Yeah.
If I ever sell it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you already talked about how you've got another build planned in the works. What's your time frame for getting started on that next one? Or?
Well, however long it takes me to finish this body work, I would like to enjoy it for a whole summer. I really would. We got local parades around here that I would like to be in. So I would like to enjoy it for a full summer. So it's going to be at least probably 2.5, 3 years before I actually consider selling it. And once I get it done, it's never done. It's always, I'm going to take the body off and I'm going to change this up or change that up, or I'm going to add this or take this away and tweak this, modify that. You know what I mean? That's a project. So
they're never done.
Never done.
Yeah. So you talked about going to parades and cars and coffee and car shows and that kind of thing with the car. Do you have any plans to do any kind of racing or competition with it, or just a cruiser?
If you want to spend a lot of money, start racing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been told you can make a fortune racing, but you'll start with a bigger fortune, right? So
yeah, exactly.
I will not be doing any racing. Maybe I would like to do a quarter mile. Maybe, I don't know if it'll pass any kind of tech inspection. Factory 5 Racing does sell a race only version of this car.
Okay.
So, nope, this is going to be cruising, that's it. Sunglasses on.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, eh? And like you said, picking the kids up at school and that thing, that'll be the talk of the school.
Yeah, most popular dad in school.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, I think those are all the questions I had, and I don't see any more really in the chat. So I think we'll start looking at wrapping it up here. But is there anything you want to promote, or where can people find you online? I think I've already put a link to your YouTube channel in the description of this video. Is there anywhere else where people can get a hold of you if they have any questions? Or
my email address is in the About tab of the YouTube channel, if people know how to find that. But I don't have a social media presence. I don't have a Instagram, TikTok. I don't sell T-shirts or mugs or anything like that. I'm not monetized or sponsored or anything like that. So I just have the YouTube channel and an email address. If I can screen share, I was going to ask your knowledgeable LS followers just a quick basic question here. I need to figure out something other than this oil filler neck right here. If anybody has a suggestion, when I originally put the oil in this, I actually came across videos on how to prime an LS engine. Had no idea. I was looking at oil pan changing videos and came across that this has a priming port on there. So I learned all about that and went on Amazon and got this little pressurized tank and did up my hose. I got a whole video on that. So I never put any oil down this thing, but I would like something new, something cooler than this. So
I think that might actually come. Let me see if I got that part on this engine behind me. Yep, that part actually comes out, and I think you can actually just take the cap off and put it right in where this elbow came out. So,
well, hell, I didn't know that. There you go.
There you go. Easy solution for you.
I'm set, but I am always looking for suggestions on what I can do and input, hopefully positive input on especially links to some actual products or product numbers in the comments of any of my videos is greatly appreciated. And
Joseph Moore has a quick question before we go. Have you thought about putting a cam in that engine, or are you just gonna leave it the way it is?
I'm going to leave it the way it is for now. I've told myself any internal engine stuff or any internal transmission stuff, I would leave to experts.
Right.
There is a caveat to that. If my next project, if I need to do a DOD AFM delete, I have watched plenty of videos on that. Maybe I will venture if I know I can buy a complete kit. I know Summit has
Yeah.
a DOD AFM delete. If I can get comfortable enough watching enough how-to YouTube videos, I might venture doing that. But I'm going to enjoy this car with stock because I'm proud that I guess I've done an LS swap, and this is my first LS swap.
Yeah.
I have watched countless videos of guys going to the yard, getting on their back, yanking the motor, taking it home, putting it usually in a square body, hooking up 4 wires and gas, and by God, they're driving down the street. And that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I wanted to stay true to that.
Yeah.
Other than having to change the oil pan to a shallower oil pan, that's pretty much what I've accomplished. And so I'm proud that this is a stock LS motor, and I want to sing the praises on how great these engines are.
Yeah, exactly.
Right out of the trucks, right out of the cars, right out of the yard. So
and in a car as light as that, like
2,300 pounds, you could put stupid horsepower in anything, and you could put, in my opinion, too much horsepower. You get 500-600 horsepower to the wheels in a car that weighs 2,300 pounds, you're going to be into the curb. You're going to goose it in the turn. It's going to come loose, and you're going to look like all those other ding dongs that I see on YouTube, where they go sideways and whack it right into the curb. And that's
exactly
not going to be me. I hope. Maybe one day. I don't know. So
that's not the way you want to go viral on social media.
No, it is not. I've got over 300 horses here. I think it's appropriate because I wanted reliability and drivability, and I think that's what I've got. So
and it's nice that you got the aluminum version too, eh? Like that'll probably make a nice, well balanced. Like I think having an iron block up front there, that'd be an extra 100 pounds. Like I think the aluminum block and a light car like that, I think that'll be a fun little car to run around town.
These cars are considered, mid-engine front engine cars because these engines are so far back that they are not over those front wheels. It is a very well balanced car. So my feet are slightly farther than the I'm right abeam the bell housing. My feet are right abeam where the bell housing meets the block. So these engines are way back, and that's what the original purpose of these being race cars. They wanted the engine in far in the middle of the car as they can to have that balance. So
no, that'll be really fun. But thanks for coming on. It's been I've learned a lot from you, and looking forward to following along as you finish the car. And we'll have to have you back on once it's 100% done and get a little update from you. But
I really hope so, Randy. I want to say thanks for all your education efforts, and I am one of those neophytes that is always looking for new information. I know I've got a lot of your videos on my watch later list because I am going to want to do some HP tuner stuff on this engine. So I'll be watching. And your bench harness video is fantastic. I was actually going to ask you some questions on that. I think I want to build myself a bench harness. So thank you. And to other YouTubers who are pro LS and do a bunch of how-to videos. I wouldn't have ventured down the path of doing this without all of your videos. So I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I feel like a real YouTuber here being interviewed. I've been able to put a video up every week on Friday for a year, and I cannot believe it. I really can't. But it feels so good making progress, and I'm figuring out my video editing. So
perfect. That's what it's all about, man. Being consistent, and I've struggled with that. I've been hit and miss, but I'm trying to be real consistent from this point forward and start interviewing more guys like yourself. And
I really appreciate it. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
Right on. Well, thanks, man. Well, we'll wrap this up then, and we'll follow up with you when you've got that car done, hopefully. So thanks for coming on, Matthew.
Let's talk again. We'll talk to you later.